everyone, what's up? My name is Mariana. Thanks for coming back to my channel. If you're new, welcome to my channel. So I'm in a new location. No, I'm not gonna be one of those people that's like, as you can tell, I'm in a new location. But yeah, I guess I did want to address this quickly because I figured it would be important to. But this is my room. That's it. But yeah, no, if you don't know, and I'm probably gonna do an apartment video some other time, but I live in a lofted space. So this is my bed, this is my lofted space. Come and join me. That's weird. I hope I don't get demonetized for that. Earlier this week, I posted a video about intentions for 2021. One of the intentions I mentioned was educating myself more. I really want to continue that because I think it's so important to always be learning and always educating yourself, even once you're out of school. A great way to do that, of course, and probably one of the more easier ways to do that, is to read books. Also TikTok. Listen, we can agree to disagree, but I feel like I have learned a tremendous amount of things from TikTok. But back to books. I also mentioned in the video how I just want to have piles and piles of books. Literally, my goal in life is to be one of those like cool, artsy, like hipster girls that live in Brooklyn that have just like paintings like up against the wall and like books everywhere. I figured there might be other people like myself who are trying out these intentions of trying to read more or educate more. So that's why for this video, I figured there might be other people like myself who are looking for some book recommendations or just trying to read more in general and don't really know where to start. So that's why I'm making this video. Basically, I'm gonna break down all the books that I read in 2020. Before you freak out, it's actually not as many as you think, and I'm really just gonna list them off and then kind of highlight my favorites. If you're interested in hearing about my book recommendations, keep watching. Over the course of 2020, I've actually read, I think it's 20 books. That's kind of weird. I kind of decided to do it because I had all this free time, and it really helped me escape and just stay somewhat sane during all of this craziness. However though, before I list all the books that I read and kind of go into my favorite, I do want to recommend 3 quick things. First things first, I understand that it's probably easiest just to go to like a Barnes & Noble or Amazon, but I do highly suggest, especially right now with everything going on with the pandemic, if you can, support your local bookstore. Second thing, a great way to kind of like get into reading is to do it with people. For example, I started doing it with my mom. We would exchange books and we would join like book club kind of related things, and that definitely made it a lot easier. 3, resources. 2 resources that I really love that really helped me kind of like organize everything and like get some more great recommendations were Goodreads, which is a website and an app that actually I believe was created by Emma Watson, but I don't think she participates in it anymore. But basically on this app, you can find so many different books. You can keep track of the books that you read, keep track of books that you want to read. You can set goals for yourself. You can join book clubs. It's really, really great. The other resource I would recommend is Book of the Month. Now, Book of the Month, you do have to pay for. There is a monthly subscription.
Hi, so this is future me editing this and realizing that I can't explain shit. I'm just gonna like sum up what I was saying like much quicker and much better. Basically, Book of the Month works where you pay a subscription. I believe it's $14.99. I honestly don't know because I think my mom actually pays for it. We share it. But anyways, you pay for it. Once a month, they send you a list of books that they recommend. Some are bestsellers, some are new arrivals, some haven't even been released yet, and they range in genre, so there's kind of something there for everyone. You basically get to pick 2. You can put on add-ons if you want to. And basically, long story short, once a month, you're getting up to 2 hardcover books for the price of 1. Not even. Because I mean, in this day and age, some hardcover books are like over $30. So I'm not obviously here to like pressure you or say that I have a sponsorship with them or anything. I'm just recommending it. It really made a difference for me because I'm the type of person where if I'm paying for something, I'm going to use it. And every single book that I've gotten has been great. On top of, if you feel like you're falling behind, you can skip a month too, and you can also cancel it whenever. This still sounds like a sponsorship, but it's really not. I just really wanted to recommend it, and I have a referral code, so. And it helps me out too if you use the code, or link, whatever it is. Okay, I need to stop talking. Back to actual me now.
Leave down below a referral link that I have, If you click on it, I believe you'll get some sort of discount like once you enter. Even if it's not there, I really highly recommend it. So I have my phone and I have all of the books that I've read. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I don't have all the books that I've read with me. I have some of them, and the ones that I don't have, they're unfortunately back at home with my family, but I'll try to insert pictures somewhere on here, just so you can get a gist of what the book looks like. Also, like I said earlier, I'm going to highlight a couple of them. And the categories that I wanted to kind of highlight them in are my favorite of 2020, my favorite romance, my favorite LGBTQIA+ book, my favorite spiritual, my favorite fiction, and my favorite also historical fiction. Let me stop rambling and let's just get into it. A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, Metamorphosis, The Alchemist, M-Train, Normal People, Breakfast at Tiffanys, Call Me By Your Name, Not That Kind of Girl, So You Want to Talk About Race, Before We Were Yours, Cilka's Journey, The Tattooist of Auschwitz, Daisy Jones and the Six, Year of the Monkey, 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, A New Earth, Women and the New Race, Devotion, The Star-Crossed Sisters of Tuscany, and Winter Counts. If I counted correctly, that should be 20 books. So now, let's get into some of my favorites. So the first two I want to start off with are fiction and historical fiction. For fiction, I definitely would say my favorite was Daisy Jones and the Six. So what's super interesting about the book, and I think why I enjoyed it so much, is that the formatting of it is very different than typical books. It's actually formatted to be like an interview. And so you meet with this band, Daisy Jones being the lead singer, as well as the Six, all of their band members. And it kind of just talks about their journey, how the band formed, how they were kind of their own separate entity, would meet Daisy Jones, come together, and basically be the rock stars of their time. Basically, the best way I can explain it is this band is a fictional version of basically Fleetwood Macs. You see all the drama of them, Daisy Jones radiates very much similar vibes to Stevie Nicks, and overall it's just such a great, easy book to read. Now, for historical fiction, I would say Before We Were Yours. I categorize this as historical fiction because the story itself is not true, but the content of the story is true. This book kind of has a dual plot line, one that's in the present and one that's in the past. In the present, so you meet this young woman, her family's into politics, and she starts to begin to kind of uncover some interesting things about her family. All the while, at the same time, you're hearing the story of these children that were taken from their families and brought to this orphanage, even though they weren't orphans, and basically resold to high-class fancy families. Now, as I said, the storyline itself is not true, but the actual content of this book is true. This actually did happen in Tennessee around the 1950s.
Back at it again, because I literally suck. I'm the worst at explaining. But I just want to make it clear so people understand that what I'm trying to say is the actual plotline of this book is not real. But the orphanage, the woman who ran the orphanage, the actual act of her stealing the kids and reselling them to these high-class politicians and famous people who couldn't have kids in Tennessee and all over the world, that actually did happen. Anyways, I just figured I really am not good at explaining. What the hell?
The content itself is kind of hard to read. It's crazy to think that the main woman that ran this orphanage and that was snatching these children actually was able to get away with it. She was in the know with the law enforcement in Tennessee, so no one really questioned them. And she would purposely pick out more lower income, impoverished areas because she knew that she could convince these parents to just sign over their kids without them really knowing, and then they don't have the financials to fight her back legally. Also, before I keep going, I do want to say, if it sounds like I'm being vague, I'm trying to because I don't want to give too much away, and I want to make you guys interested in the books, but I also don't want to give away the whole plot line. I want to talk about my favorite LGBTQIA+ book, and this might come off as a little bit basic, but it would be Call Me By Your Name. The reason why I want to highlight this book is because I think it's important for people to read the book. I think when the movie came out, which I think is a great movie, I love all the performances in it. However, though, I can't help but question if a lot of people liked the movie for the wrong reasons. Meaning if they kind of liked the movie just because they thought Timothée Chalamet or Armie Hammer were attractive and not for the actual content of the film. That is why I would recommend reading the book, because honestly, I know it's kind of stereotypical that the book is typically better than the movie, but this book is just so much better in the sense that you're really in Elio's mind, like completely and utterly in his mind. And it's amazing how you can just really feel the angst that he feels and just kind of relate to him more of what it's like to not really know who you are and trying to discover yourself and how scary that can be. And I think overall it just made me have all the same emotions that I had towards the film, but just amplified. So I definitely think you should give this book a chance, especially if you liked the movie. Okay, so now I want to talk about spiritual or spirituality books. Before you kind of get thrown off, I just want to preface that when I speak about this, I kind of speak more about your mindset and talking about books that hint at spirituality, at kind of clearing your mindset, making you overall just like a less anxious, more mindful person, if that makes sense. So for example, my favorite this year that I read is called A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. This book honestly changed my life. Also, this book though kind of reminded me almost how I felt like when I started therapy. Because for me, when I started therapy, I learned very early on that there was something about hearing something from another person, even if those things were things that I already knew. For some reason, hearing it from another person and them telling me to do it makes a huge difference. And that's kind of how I felt with this book. A lot of what he talks about kind of come off as common sense things, but the way that he breaks them down and the way that he elaborates on them kind of makes you realize like, wow, I've actually never really looked at it in this way. And yes, maybe him telling me it like makes a difference, but ultimately I felt after I finished reading that book, all of those emotions that I felt about being more present, understanding that, you know, I can't control some situations, but I can control my perspective on the situation, and how, you know, materialistic things ultimately don't make you happy. He kind of elaborates on all these different ideas, and I just think it was so profound. So if you're looking for a book that maybe helps with like your anxiety or your mindfulness, or just overall is a whole rebirth in spirituality, I definitely would check out this book, or really any book by Eckhart Tolle. The next genre I want to cover is romance. My favorite romance book that I read of 2020 was The Star-Crossed Sisters of Tuscany. Quick disclaimer, this and also the Daisy Jones books were one of 2 examples that I got from Book of the Month, and I absolutely love them. For this book, it focuses on a woman who lives in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. She's part of a large Italian family that have all immigrated from Italy, their first generation. She works in her family's bakery. She's kind of almost like at the age of like 30, they don't really say. And so there's this legend in her family that all of the second born daughters will never find love. And they've believed this for 100 years or so. But you see in the story herself, her cousin, who's also a second daughter, and their great aunt, who's a second daughter, who kind of got outcast by the family, all go to Italy to kind of find themselves and quote unquote break the curse. The book is so beautifully written. I definitely think it's for everyone, but specifically also as a woman, it just talks about finding yourself and being the best version of yourself. I'm also not gonna lie, reading it, I was absolutely sobbing. There were points of it that I was reading it and thinking, oh my god, am I ever gonna find love like this? It's such a beautiful book. I highly recommend it. As well as someone who has Italian heritage, I definitely relate to it a lot. And even if you're just interested in like traveling to Italy, I would recommend the book too. About traveling to Venice, Florence, the Amalfi Coast. It's awesome. I really highly recommend it. So now, before we finish, I just want to recommend my favorite book, like absolute favorite book of 2020. Here we go. Drum roll. The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Oh my god. Oh my god. I need to take a sip of water for this. When I say I love this book, I love this book. This book honestly changed my life. I won't get into that because the element of it that changed my life kind of is a revealing secret with it, so I won't mention that. But basically the plotline of the book is you start out with this young woman who's a journalist at a small magazine, and her boss announces that this big famous actress, like old Hollywood actress, very Elizabeth Taylor-esque, Evelyn Hugo, wants to do a whole cover shoot on her. But she specifically requests this journalist, which you find in the book why she does that, and it's just insane. I'm getting ahead of myself. But anyways, she meets with Evelyn Hugo, and Evelyn Hugo says, I'm not doing anything for the magazine. I want you to write a book about my life. Guys, ladies, gents, theys and gays, let me tell you, the stuff that they talk about in this book is insane. And here's the reason why I find it just so insane. I have been a fan of films, actors, directors, just pop culture like that my entire life. This book dives into so many different little intricate things about it and kind of how the system of it all works. Granted, this book is fiction, but you have to question, how does this author know all of this? You know, like someone just can't make this up. It definitely has some truth to it. And if that's the case, whew, I have so many speculations about certain famous people. Overall, the characters are great, the story is great. It's just, oh my gosh, such a great book. There's twists, there's turns, you're gonna cry. Oh, it's such a good book. I don't know what else to say about it other than I absolutely love that book. And that's it. That's all of the books I've read. Those are all of my favorites. I really love reading, and I hope you do too. I hope you are interested in these recommendations. As I said before, check out Book of the Month, check out Goodreads. Also, please support your local bookstores. Please, please, please. Like, so many of them are not doing well during this pandemic, and it would just be so sad to see them leave. That's it for this video. I hope you liked it. Please like and subscribe. Leave some comments down below about books that you loved from this year. I would love some recommendations. I'm kind of at a weird point where I don't really know what I want to read right now, but I definitely would love some recommendations.
But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. I had a different ending. I tried to like use a cute catchphrase. It sounded like shit, but that's it. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. It's like 2 a.m, and I have a job. I probably should really go to bed, but thanks. Bye.